Hi everybody, I am P. Chandrasekhar, Faculty of Zoology, and today we will discuss another important topic that is ecology and environments. Of course, ecology and environment is included three of the subtopics and organisms, population, ecosystems, biodiversity and conservation. So now one among the three subtopics of the ecology and environment, that is called organisms and population. Okay. Now you just now I am going to explain one of the questions, some of the questions regarding the organisms and population. You now will see that the branch of science which studies the interaction among organisms and between organisms and physical factors and physical environment is called. That means here the options are like that. A option is the epidemiology. Epidemiology is also one of the branch of biology which explains about the epidermis of the animal system and or epidermis of the living organism. Be the ecology. And ecology is nothing but a branch of biology which is explaining about the interaction between living organisms to their physical factors or physical environment itself. And here ethology. Just ethology is the another branch which is explaining regarding the behavior of the animals itself. And the D option is the etiology. So it is also another branch, but it is not related with the above question only. So the among the four options, ecology is the best option to opt for this question itself. Ecology, what is the ecology? Ecology is the branch of biology which is explains about the interrelationship in between living organisms to their physical factors or physical environments. So that's why opting the B option for this ecology, this question. Now we go for the second question. And the second question as like this: deserts, rainforest, and tundra, each is your example of here. Some of the options are given like that. Here A option is the community, B option is the biome, and C option is the ecosystem, and D option is the population itself. Of course, what do you know that? What is the meaning of, what is the definition of communities? The communities are nothing but assemblage of population, of different species, and they are living together in one of the ecosystem or in one of the area itself is called community. And here the biome is nothing but a large regional area. It is not having confined or it is not having only one type of environmental condition. And here different, it is a regional part of the earth, and as well as it is simply consists of a major communities or major species of the flora and fauna can be defined as the biome. And in case of C, of course, ecosystem is nothing but a segment of the nature, and it is comprises with the different biological communities, and biological communities are interact with the physical factor is simply called as ecosystem. And D option is the population. The population is nothing but the organisms of the same kind. Or else different number of individuals of the single species can be named as the population itself. Here the populations are naturally living in different geological habitats itself. Among the four of the option, the B option is related with this question, biome. Biome is nothing but it is comprised of the large regional area, and it is simply composed with the major communities or major species of flora and fauna. So that's why regarding this question, the B option is the correct option for this. And now you go for the third question. The key elements that determine the difference in the environmental conditions of different habitats include. Again, once again I am reading that the key elements that determine the difference in the environmental conditions of different habitats include. Of course, you know that environmental condition means environmental conditions of a particular habitat. Habitat is nothing but it's a place for the living organism. It is a site for the living organism where the environmental conditions are suited, and in some of the habitat the environmental conditions are not suited for some other organism also. Environmental conditions of a habitat is decided or determined by the following factors itself. Now for sake of this question, the four of the options are so far given. One is the temperature, B is the light, and C is the soil, and D is the all of these itself. Okay, the environmental conditions of different habitats are simply decided by or determined by these all the factors itself. The temperature is also one of a prominent element, and light is also very important one, and the soil is also. These three of the elements are very important to determine the environmental conditions of the habitat. So that's why I am opting the D option for this question itself. And after that, now other question is the organism that can be tolerated. Organism that can be tolerated a wide range of salt concentration are termed as. So of course, regarding the temperature, all the living organisms are simply classified into two types: eurythermal and stenothermal itself. Eurythermal means some of the living animals can be tolerate a wide fluctuations or wide range of the effect of temperature can be named as the eurythermal, and the second category of the organisms are unable to tolerate the wide range of the temperatures, that will be called as the stenothermal. Like that, in regarding the tolerance of the salt concentration, the living organisms are simply classified into two types also: euryhyaline, and second one is the stenohyaline also. Euryhyaline means some of the organisms, some of the aquatic organisms can have the tolerance to tolerate the wide fluctuations of the salt concentration, that will be called as the euryhyaline. And some other aquatic organisms are not able to tolerate, or some of the aquatic organisms can be tolerate the low levels of the salt concentration, that will be called as the stenohyaline itself. Now the question is asking that organisms that can be tolerate a wide range of the salt concentration are termed as. A option is given like that: euryhyaline or eurythermal, which is not at all concerned with the salinity concentration. And B option is given as the stenohyaline. It means that these animals are simply called as stenohyaline because they have low levels of the low tolerance regarding the salt concentration. And C option is the stenothermal. They have low tolerance regarding the thermal variation. And D option is simply called as the euryhyaline. Euryhyaline means the aquatic organism which has more tolerance against the tolerance of the wide fluctuations of the salinity itself. That's why the fourth option is the correct option for this question. I'm just this is in that way I'm opting the fourth option itself. You go for the other question of the organisms and population. The question is like that: Globus rules state that. So here some of the scientists have proposed different rules and different principles which are particularly related with the effect of temperature on the different living organism of the nature. So one among the rule is called Globus rules. First one I would like to explain that Bateman principle. The Bateman is the name of the scientist who correlate the effect of temperature on size of the body. Particularly, he took the example of warm-blooded organism. Warm-blooded organisms means the living animals which can be maintain the constant body temperature. They are simply called as the warm-blooded organism. the warm-blooded organism which are living their life in the warmer regions, the body size is a little smaller than the same counterparts are living in the colder regions. So that principle was proposed by Bergman. Next one is the excrements of the warm-blooded organism which are living into different environmental conditions like warmer regions or warmer areas and colder regions itself. The warm-blooded organism which are living in the colder region, the size of the excrements are small because of if they lose the temperature from the body to the environment, they are unable to regenerate the temperature of the body. And in case of the excrements of the warm-blooded organisms of the warmer region, little larger because of during the summer they have to perfectly lose the body temperature into the environment itself. So here the scientist is who correlate the effect of temperature on the size of the excrements like legs, tail and ears also. That will be named as the Allen rule or Allen principle. And after that you go for the another principle, that is Jordan. Jordan is the name of the scientist who correlate the effect of temperature and production of the codfishes, vertebrae of the codfishes. Particularly the temperature of the environments are low in between 8 to 10. And certainly the vertebrae of the codfishes can be improved a lot. But when the temperature is raised from 10 to 11 centigrades, certainly the production of the vertebrae can be decreased in the codfishes. That means here the effect of temperature is certainly influence on the production of the vertebrae. Here the Jordan is the name of the scientist who correlate the effect of temperature on the production of the vertebrae of the codfishes. So that is one of the comparison. Here the first one is the fish of colder waters tend to have more vertebrae. The first one is the Jordan. And after that we go for the A option is completed and B option is completed and the D option is also completed. In case of C option, warm-blooded animals have a darker skin. That means the warm-blooded organisms which are living in the warmer region, naturally the intensity of the light is more. If the more intensity will be present, the production of the melanocytic cells are more, that will be leads into dark skin itself. The same similar counterparts of the same animals may be living their life in the colder region, the intensity of the light is less. That's why the lighter skin will be present in the warm-blooded organism of the colder region, that is related with the global rule itself. Global is the name of the scientist who correlate the effect of temperature on the color of the skin of the warmer organisms. That's why the C option is related with this question. So that's why opting the C option and the correct option. Now you go for the next question. The futures of the xerophyte plants. The futures of the xerophyte plant leaves are. What kind of leaves can be present here? In that way, the four of the words are given which are related or not. And here just you go for the futures of the xerophyte plant leaves are like that. Leathery surface. And the second one is the large surface area. And the third is the waxy cuticle. And fourth one is the sunken stomata and upper epidermis itself. And among the four of the words, particularly leathery surface. The leathery surface is not permit the leaves to lose the more water through the transpiration, and like that the second large surface area is not at all concerned with the leaves of the xerophytes. The large surface area may be present in the xerophyte. Certainly they lost more of the water through the surface of the leaves itself. And the third option, waxy cuticle. Waxy cuticle is naturally present, and that will not be permit the stomatal erection. That will be waxy cuticle is minimize the rate of transpiration among the limbs of the xerophytes. And fourth one is the sunken stomata on upper epidermis. During the daytime, certainly the sunken, that means the closer stomatal pores can be present in the epidermis and which never open during the daytime, and only night hours certainly the sunken stomata of the xerophytes can be opened and lose little water through the transpiration into the atmospheric cell. Among the four of them and three of them are concerned with the xerophytic plant limbs itself. So in case of the A option is 1 to 4. 2 is not at all concerned and first and fourth is concerned, but when the A option is included too, so that's why it is not at all related, and B option the second and third, again the large surface area is not concerned with the xerophytic leaves, and in case of C, 1, 3 and the fourth one is it is a correct option to this question. One is the leathery surface is present, and the third one is the waxy cuticle is present, and fourth one is the sunken stomata and upper epidermis of the xerophytic plants or xerophytic plant leaves. And the option is the 1 and 4, but they are ignoring to include the waxy cuticle. That's why among the four of the option like A, B, C, D, the third option is correctly placed and which is correct to the question itself. That's why opting the C option for this question. Here, next question, dot frogs, particularly example of Phyllobatis, Dendrobatis. They are popularly named as the poisonous frogs, which are confined to the tropical rainforest of South America. Are highly poisonous as well as brightly colored to be easily noticed. And of course here four of the options are so far given to this question. Whether which of the option is explaining the nature of the brightly colored and why they are developing the poison in their bodies. What is the purpose? Here the four of the options are like that camouflaging. Camouflaging means according to the environmental conditions. Some of the amphibians like frogs and some of the butterflies and some of the chameleon. Particularly they are going on changing their body color. The changed body color is well matched to the ground color itself. Camouflage. That is the meaning of camouflaging. Mimicry. What is the mimicry means? One of the part of the body is similar to the part of the other organism or other animal can be named as the mimicry. And see the warning coloration itself. If the poison is not only helpful to protect their body, in addition to that, the brilliant and the colored and the bright color is present in the frogs, which are indicating the warning signals to the other organism itself. And the D option is the none of these. So here the warning bright coloration will be present in the dot frogs, and some of them are simply present in the golden colored frogs and straw red colored frogs. Here whether the poison of these frogs can be kill the other organisms or not. The little dose, one dose of the poison of the dot frogs can be killed a group of 10 of the human beings itself. That much poison can be secreted by the dot frogs for sake of their protection. Not only that, by development of poison and by exhibiting the brightly coloration is warning the other organism not to attack on us. So that's why the A is not, camouflage is not related, B is not also related to this question, and C the warning coloration which is warn the other organism or enemies of their own, and D is the none of them. The C option is correct for this question. And after that I am going to explain another question. The small fish get stuck to near the bottom of the shaft. This kind of association is called. You know that here the two different organisms which are belongs to two different species, they are closely related to lead a life that could be named as a symbiosis. Particularly the symbiosis is simply classified to the following types itself. Mutualism. Mutualism means in a symbiotic life, physiologically and metabolically both the organisms are dependent on each other. That will be called as a mutualism. And here in close association of two different organisms, one of the organism is getting benefited and other organism is neither benefited nor harmed. That symbiotic life can be named as a commensalism. And predation. Predation is not a symbiotic life because of predation is the one of the nutritive strategy itself. The best example is the deers, or else the tiger can be on the deer. There is no friendship in between deer to the tiger or lion itself. Only the tigers are the carnivores which are always on the deer for sake of their food particles itself. In that way, cat and dog and cat versus rat, these are all suitable example for the predation itself. And the next is the parasitism. Parasitism means it is also one of the symbiotic association in which organism only one of the organism can be benefited. The benefited organism can be named as a parasite and adversely affected organism can be named as the host. So in that way, here the small fish gets stuck near the bottom of the shark. This kind of association is called as, first one is the symbiosis. Of course, both the organisms are associated with each other, but only the small fish is getting benefited while it is attached to the bottom of the shark itself. So shark is the larger marine organism. By giving shelter to the small fish, you are not getting any benefit, not facing any harm from the small fish itself. That's why the second option is the commensalism. And the third option is the predation and the fourth option is the parasitism. In close association of the small fish to the shark, only the small fish is getting, and while the shark is neither getting benefit nor harm. So that's why the second option, that is called B option, that will be named as a commensalism, is the best option for this question. And that's why I am opting also the B option for this question. And after that now you go for the other question. This is a little different question, and read the following statements and select the correct option. Statement 1 is like this. Statement 1 is explaining that plants need the help of insects and animals for the pollination of their flowers and dispersing their seeds. Of course, naturally, the plants are not able to moving from one place to other place. So for sake of that, they rely on the insects and the different animals for sake of their pollination. Not only that, they want to disperse their seeds in different regions of the globe for sake of improving their species itself. So for sake of that, they naturally depends and rely on the insects and animals. The statement is correct. One is the explaining, and the statement 2 is explaining that the plants offer rewards in the form of pollen, nectar for pollination, and juicy, nutritious foods for the seed dispersal. Of course, in turn the plants are always providing the pollen grains or pollen, nectar, juicy secretion, and in addition to that, nutritious food particles or nutritious substances can be provided as the rewards to the animals and insects when they are helpful in their pollination of their flowers. Not only that, they are helpful in the dispersal of their own seeds itself. Now we go for the 4 option. Which option is supporting this question itself? The first option, as usually, A option. Both the statements 1 and 2 are true, and the second statement is correct explanation of 1. And B option is both the statements true, but statement 2 is not a correct explanation to 1. And C option, statements 1 and 2 1 is true, but statement 2 is false. And D option is the both statements 1 and 2 are false. Among 4 of the option, just A option is true. A option is just here. The A option is known that. Just you know that A option is explained that statement 1 is correct. Not only that, B statement is also correct. Not only that, B statement 2 is correct. Correct explanation to the first option. That's why I am selecting the first option for the correct option for this question. So in ecosystem or in nature, to avoid the unavoidable conditions, some of the organisms are exhibiting the, of course, sea situation and hibernation by the amphibians, and in some other cases some of the organisms are avoid the unavoidable conditions in their native place or native habitat, and they are migrated miles together and reach to a suitable region for sake of developing their own population or own species. That will be called as the migration itself. And by exhibiting the migration, which are covering the longest distance in migration itself. The question is like that: the animals that covers longest distance in migration is. The 4 options are like this: caribou. Caribou is nothing but it is a kind of species of the deer which is confined to the North America and Arctic and tundra regions itself. Of course, they may be migrated little distance but not longest distance itself. That's why the option is not A option is not related, and B option is elk. Elk is considered as the largest deer species, and that will be called as the wapiti. And of course, it is also confined to the North America, Europe, and of course northeast of the Asia itself. Of course, it is also little exhibiting the migration. In most of the cases, they are not supposed to migrate the longest distance itself. So that's why the B option is also not correct to this question. And locusts. Locusts are nothing but though they are living as a gregarious and group of organisms, they are simply called as the grasshoppers. They are also migrated little distance to avoid the unfavorable conditions itself. The C option is also not covering and not correct. And D option is the Arctic tern itself. Arctic tern is nothing but a kind of bird which is confined to the Arctic region, particularly during the winter. The temperature of the Arctic polar region is having low temperature. To avoid the low temperature, it can be shown the longest distance and miles together. It can be migrated to reach to the suitable environmental condition and to develop their population and to develop their own species itself. The best example is the Siberian goat, Siberian crane. It can be migrated from Siberia and migrated miles together and finally reach to the Kolleru lake of the Andhra Pradesh to develop their own species and come back within the year to its own place, that is called Siberia. So that's why among the 4 options, D option is correct to this question. And after that, you go for the next question. 2 species cannot live. 2 species cannot live in the same niche as per. Of course, you know that Allen rule, already I discussed in one of the questions. Allen rule is always explain the effect of temperature and experiments of the warmer organisms of colder region and warmer regions itself. And in case of Gaussian hypothesis is always related with the two of the organisms when they are sharing the same niche or in same habitat. So in between 2 of the organisms of the same species, one of the species or one of the organism may be superior competitor and second organism may be inferior competitor. So that's why 2 species cannot live in the same niche as per the Gaussian principle itself. So that's why the second option is well suited for this question. That's why opting the second option, or that is the B option. And the C option, Copy rule, it is also not related with this. And the D option is the Weismann's theory. Of course, Weismann theory is related to the evolution. It's a decartilization. What do you mean of decartilization? Cutting of the tails of the mice. Why we selected the mice as the experimental material itself. So, Weismann is the name of the scientist who conduct the decartilization to disprove the law of Lamarckism itself. That is the inheritance of the acquired characters. So, among four of the options, only B option is the only option which is related to this question. That's why I opted the B. And after that, last question is which of the following can be correct with respect to the given figure itself? Which of the following can be correct with respect to the given figure? And of course, the options are like that. Some futures may be common for the different species of A and B. Because of A and B, though they belong to two different species, unfortunately they are sharing and they are living together in a same environmental conditions. So, our same sharing of same niche, certainly little futures or some of the futures are similarly present in both the species itself. That is the A option. And B option, niche overlapping. So naturally here the figure itself is saying that the two of the different species can be overlap their habitat itself. And C option is the A and B. And D option is the none of these. The C option is a better explained and better option to this question. The two species cannot be living in the same niche, but these two of the characters can be present. Some futures are similar and both the organisms are while they are living in the same habitat or same niche can be overlapped itself. So that's why I'm opting the C option for this question. And not only that, I'm concluding today's class and tomorrow we'll see to discuss one more other topic.